We do have our reporters standing by in the key locations. First to Samantha Chiari at the New South Wales RFS headquarters. Sam, authorities confirmed the firefighter was 28-year-old Samuel McPaul.
Annalise, it's been a devastating 24 hours for New South Wales and for our firefighters, really the whole state, with this tragic loss. Now, Samuel McPaul lost his life yesterday afternoon at around 5:50 p.m. when the truck he was in rolled as a result of course, extreme winds which were hitting the region. He was trying to battle the Green Valley fire, which is around 110 kilometres east of Albury, when the truck rolled. Now, the 52-year-old driver was treated at the scene. He was also a volunteer firefighter, and another volunteer firefighter, a 39-year-old man, was airlifted to Prince Alfred Hospital, where he is still in a serious condition. Now, we heard from the New South Wales Rural Fire Services earlier. A visibly distraught and very emotional Rural Fire Services Commissioner Shane Fitzsimmons spoke to the media. This is what he had to say.
He leaves behind, tragically, a beautiful wife, Megan, who is pregnant with their first child that's due on the 4th of May.
The tragedy is still unfolding, Annalise, for New South Wales. We have over 90 bushfires ravaging across the state. More than half of them are not yet contained. Now, in terms of conditions today, over 10 total fire bans are in place, including the Greater Sydney region. We have extreme fire danger forecast, tipped to worsen into the catastrophic for some regions of the Illawarra, the Shoalhaven and the Southern Ranges. Severe fire danger has been forecast right across eastern New South Wales, and conditions dramatically decreased overnight, particularly on the south coast of the state, where we now have 5 emergency warnings in place for several fires burning out of control. Now, the fires of most concern are around the Batemans Bay region. Anywhere from Batemans Bay down to Bega, which is nearly the Victorian border, is in, of course, danger today. A lot of holiday makers, it is the Christmas and New Year period. New Year's Eve is here. So in terms of conditions, we are expecting them to worsen as the afternoon unfolds with the southerly change.
We've seen extraordinary fire behaviour overnight, exceeding what was expected and predicted in given the conditions. And I understand the Bureau are just looking at updating their forecast to be slightly worse than what they thought was the case yesterday afternoon until the southerly passes through. We are getting reports across a number of those fire grounds of properties and communities being heavily impacted. Emergency alerts and warnings have been going out throughout the evening, and certainly a considerable number going out this morning with the increased fire activity that's being experienced and observed across those different fire grounds.
Shane Fitzsimmons there, the New South Wales Rural Fire Services Commissioner, confirming loss of property and homes in the south coast of New South Wales this morning. Now, in terms of the change, it is forecast to hit Jervis Bay just after 3 p.m. So southerly winds will mean a change in the fire grounds in these regions. The cool change is expected to hit the Harbour City at around 8 p.m. Of course, the New Year's Eve fireworks spectacle set to go ahead, but in terms of weather conditions, it's just set to worsen, Annalise, as the afternoon and evening unfolds. An absolute tragedy still unfolding in New South Wales as 2019 comes to an end.
Absolutely, and we'll stay across that changing weather right throughout the day. Let's go now to Andrea Crothers at the Bairnsdale Relief Centre. Andrea, homes have been destroyed after fire tore through communities in Victoria's East Gippsland overnight.
That's right, Annalise. I've just actually spoken to an elderly pensioner who's from Sarsfield, which is just north of here. Now, he just got word in that his home is no longer there. Nothing is left at all. He was truly heartbroken. It was actually very heartbreaking there to even just be comforting him. He says that he, his wife, his 90-year-old mother-in-law, who have camped out here at the Bairnsdale Relief Centre, he said that they felt that they did the right thing. They left as soon as they were told to. They were the first to arrive here. But now there just appears to be nothing left there for him. Now, we do know there have been a number of structures lost at Sarsfield, Bruthen, as well as Clifton Creek, all these sort of smaller communities which are just north of here inside the danger zone. Now, I also spoke to another couple who had word from their neighbour this morning that their place at Clifton Creek may also be lost. Here's what they had to say.
Potential is we've lost everything, but yeah, until we get there, we just don't know.
The difficulty is we're on 77 acres and 40 of it's bush, and it hadn't been backburned in a decade, and nobody can actually see our house. No one can actually see our house from a road or anything. So yeah, that makes it a lot more difficult as well. But exactly what we loved about it is probably going to have been our demise.
How does it feel to be here and not know what is left at home?
It's about the worst feeling that I think anybody could ever have. You don't know if you've got everything, you don't know if you've got nothing.
We don't know what to tell the kids. We've got what we managed to get out with, which we're lucky, probably a lot more than some, in the way of vehicles and stuff. But yeah, it's the unknown. I think it's the unknown that's the scariest. Like we just don't know.
Not the start to 2020 anyone will be wanting now. Darren Chester, local member here, he's actually from Lakes Entrance, so he's also in the heart of where these fires are actually impacting. We spoke to him a short time ago.
There's no question some properties have been lost. I'm aware of friends of mine who've lost their properties. So we're going to see primary residents, people's houses have been destroyed. We're going to see outbuildings and fences gone. So, you know, it's going to be a pretty tough day. And at the same time, we need to understand that while that recovery operation has to start, there's still a response phase underway. We've still got active fire in the environment.
Now, whilst the aftermath of that situation is also underway, there's also an ongoing bushfire crisis at the town of Mallacoota. Now, this is in the far northeastern pocket of the state. We do know thousands of residents and tourists were actually camping out on the beach, the jetty, trying to find the safest place as it came under an ember attack. Now, we have just speaking to the fire authorities a short time ago. They're currently in a briefing at the moment around that one. We'll give you more updates as they come to hand. Annalise?
Check in with you again soon for that update. Let's go live now to Patrick Murrell at the Victoria State Control Centre. Pat, do we know how many properties have been destroyed?
Annalise, as you heard from Andrea before, we are hearing some individual reports of properties being destroyed, but many people don't know the status of their homes, and indeed Andrew Crisp, the Emergency Commissioner here, says that he hasn't had the exact number confirmed because damage assessment teams haven't been on the ground. He has been told, though, that these losses in East Gippsland are significant. There are 8 emergency warnings ongoing in Victoria, most of those in East Gippsland, one burning near Corryong in east of Albury near the New South Wales-Victoria border. That will also be a particular concern for today. Damage assessment teams will be reaching some of those communities today if conditions allow, and we will get an update on how many properties have been lost later today. Here was the Emergency Services Commissioner speaking just a short time ago.
There was a very active firefight overnight in relation to a number of these different communities. I'm certainly being told that there are significant property losses, but at this stage, you know, I just haven't got a number, and I really don't want to go into detail around particular locations at this point in time. It's still fairly dynamic out there, but there will be significant property loss.
The township of Mallacoota is a particular concern. 4,000 people there are taking refuge on the beach. They're being protected by 3 firefighter strike teams from those flames which are threatening the town. Elsewhere in Victoria, there are a number of advice-level bushfires burning in the west of the state. Closer to Melbourne, just 20 kilometres north of Melbourne CBD, an emergency warning near Bundoora was downgraded to an advice level late last night, so residents there are starting to return to their homes. Conditions today are a bit more mild. It is a bit cooler, so that will provide some respite for firefighters. Dry lightning, though, will threaten to create additional fires, and as the Emergency Services Commissioner was saying earlier this morning, this is only the start of summer, and while it may be cooler for a few days, the heat will flare up again on Saturday.
Today, you know, across most of the state, it's a lot milder. There's actually been a little bit of rain. The change has actually moved through East Gippsland. It's still to move through the northeast of the state. So it will be cooler conditions. It will give us some respite over the next few days in relation to the fires. But we've got a lot of work now to do, as you'd imagine, to look at how we can get to those isolated communities, how we can support them, how we can continue to reassure them. And we're only at the start of summer. So, you know, we start to heat up again towards the end of the week, and Saturday is looking like a fairly challenging day for us again. So.
And Elise, in total, 20 bushfires have burned more than 200,000 hectares of land in Victoria. That number is only expected to rise mainly in that East Gippsland region. We are expecting an update from the Premier in about an hour's time. We'll bring that to you live on Sky News.